I'm Steve Lascazzo. This is The Way. Welcome to the recap and discussion podcast episode for Season 2, Episode 4 of Andor, a Star Wars story, now streaming on Disney+. Ever been to Ghorman? Kicks off a brand new story arc for the years between Andor Season 1 and the movie Rogue One. Episodes 4, 5, and 6 are going to take us, the audience, through BBY3, which is 3 years before the Battle of Yavin, seen in the original Star Wars movie. This podcast focuses only on that first episode of the second arc, Season 2, Episode 4. If you've seen the episode and want to hear more about it...
On program. That means hands on head, eyes front, feet on the floor. Do it!
Tony Gilroy, scriptwriter and Hollywood script fixer, is the showrunner and creator of Andor. He wrote movies like The Cutting Edge, The Devil's Advocate, Michael Clayton, Armageddon, and several in the Jason Bourne series. It was Rogue One that brought him into the Star Wars galaxy, and at first... he was fixing a movie because Disney didn't like what was coming together from director Gareth Edwards. Gilroy had a success, and then developed an idea later for a show, and Cassian Andor's story has been expanded. The writer for story arc number 2, though, is Beau Willimon. He's the House of Cards creator, executive producer of Severance on Apple TV+, and the directors for Season 2 handled blocks of shows. And the first 6, so 2 blocks, are under the direction of Ariel Kleiman. He handled Gilroy's scripts, and now Beau Willimon's 4, 5, and 6, and he's going to pass the director's chair to Janusz Metz in Episode 7. Director of photography is once again Christophe Nguyen. Production design is by Luke Hull, and in the world-building episode of Andor Declassified, you can watch it on YouTube or Disney Plus in the Andor's Extra section if you haven't already. Hull mentions there where the influences came from.
Ghorman is a canon planet. It exists, but has never been seen before. It kind of goes free range from a design point of view. In the end, we settled on more of a sort of northern Italian vibe. I always joke that Ghorman's like Turin, so there's a lot of sitting around drinking Bisserins and coffee.
Episode 4 editor was Matthew Cannings. He was the editor on Narkina 5, an episode of Season 1, Episode 8. 3 episodes of Black Mirror and 3 of Peaky Blinders, plus a couple of 2013 episodes of Doctor Who, the Matt Smith 11th Doctor time period. The music in this one is Nicholas Britell, not Brandon Roberts. Britell had some scheduling conflicts and couldn't be there for the whole season as he was for Season 1, but he still got credit in the first 3 for original Andor themes. Here, he's the only musical composer listed. Nina Gold and Martin Ware casted the episode as they did the first 3. Moen Leo, credited once again as visual effects supervisor. Costume designed by Michael Wilkinson. Emma Scott did hair and makeup. Neil Scanlon handled special creature effects. Now, you may have noticed I went through most of those names quickly and didn't talk about their resume. That's because I've probably already mentioned more about their other work in a previous podcast. So if you'd like to hear a little bit more about them, our recap and discussion podcasts for episodes 1 through 3 are available for listening already, and the cast and crew first appearances usually get a little bit more in-depth perusal from me at those points. I did still want to mention those because it's like getting a full movie every week. It's like 2.5 hours or something of screen time that we're getting every week.
No way.
The runtime for episode 4 shows up as 57 minutes in parentheses on the Disney Plus show page, but I've been sharing what it takes to only watch from the start of the action to the cut to credits, and what it takes if you like to listen to the unique theme music that's at the start of each episode. So the action runs 45 minutes 30 seconds from the Ferrex gong sound, where there's the title of the episode, cut to black thing, and then having to watch Bix get high and stare out the window of the safe house. 45 minutes, 30 seconds. From theme music start to that same cut to black from Bix on Coruscant, 46 minutes, 8 seconds. The thumbnail description available on the show's Disney Plus Episodes tab reads the same as the description on the show's episode page in Disney Plus. It reads, Cassian and Bix adjust to a Luthen safe house. All eyes are on Ghorman. Willimon visits Saw Gerrera. So let's move on to the cast.
You think anybody's listening?
Main build cast comes first, and I mention them every episode, but it's really just a mention after we talk about them the first time and talk a little bit about their resume. So if you want to listen to more about that, just listen to our previous recaps and you can hear more about them. Like Diego Luna. He is Cassian Andor, and this, of course, was a Rogue One role, and he's the title character. Stellan Skarsgård is Luthen Rael. This is an Andor-only role. He does not appear in Rogue One. Make of that what you will. Genevieve O'Reilly has played Mon Mothma since taking over for Carolyn Blackiston in Revenge of the Sith. That movie is back in theaters for the 20th anniversary re-release, and it's doing very well at the box office. Denise Goff is Dedra Miro, show-only character, as is Kyle Soller, Syril Karn. Adria Arjona is Bix Kayleen, Andor show only. Catherine Hunter is Edie Karn, show only. Muhammad Bayer as Wilman Pak, show only. Anton Lesser is Major Partagaz. If you're a Game of Thrones show watcher, you do recognize this guy as Maester Qyburn, but he's show only. Robert Ems plays Supervisor Lonnie Young. This is a reprisal of his Andor show only role from Season 1. Jacob James Beswick plays Supervisor Hirt. Same thing, Season 1, but he's still Andor show only. Richard Samel as Caro Rylands, the older Ghorman resistance organizer. Andor only role. This was his first appearance in Star Wars. A lot of French films and TV to his credit. He was in 2014's live-action Beauty and the Beast, 2006's Casino Royale as Adolf Gettler, and Quentin Tarantino cast him as German Sergeant Rockman in Inglourious Bastards. That's the one that the bear uses to practice his baseball swing on. Thierry Godard was Lazine. He's the one making the hand gestures in the not-so-secret meeting that Syril first attended. He's got a face that as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, I know this guy. But I looked over all of his work on IMDb. I can't find anything I recognize. He's just got one of those faces. Speaking of faces, Forrest Whitaker is Saw Gerrera. And Forrest has one of those faces, doesn't he? We know this character makes it into Rogue One, right? But this was established way back in the Clone Wars animated series. Saw lost his sister Stila in a revolutionary fight pre-Empire on Onderon. Saw's breathing troubles in Rogue One seem to have found a cause in this story arc. He's calling Rhydonium, or the tool that is used to extract it, his sister?
Stila. This is all I have left of her.
Back in the Clone War, Saw's sister was killed by a separatist gunship.
The Geonosians were separatists, right?
Yeah.
Now to the cast listings in the order of appearance section. A reminder. A cast member shows up here for the first time in Season 2, they'll get a mention. But anyone who we've already heard about in episodes 1, 2, or 3 is going to get skipped. I just don't have all the time.
Nobody here gives their real name.
Lisa was Caroline Veneer, show-only character, her first notable work of 3 roles listed on IMDb. Freddie Meredith is listed as BOS number 2, and Anushka Chakravarti is listed as BOS number 1. And if this is order of appearance, I gotta say, I have no clue who these people could be. This is like father and son from the first arc. Are they people in the crowds in the square as Syril walks to his job? They come listed before the freedom fighters listening into Cyril's conversation, but after Syril, Edie, and Lisa are listed in the credits, and then before Enza. All I know is, I noticed the crown on Freddie Meredith's resume. He was in Season 1 of The Crown. Enza Rylands, daughter of Caro, is played by Alay Lawson, or Alice? I'm not sure. Nothing remarkable, in my opinion, on her resume. Theo Costa Marini played Dylan. He was Mathis in the Walking Dead Daryl Dixon spinoff. Lots of French TV and movie roles. Sam, with 2 M's, was played by Abraham Wappler. This is the guy who carries the gun in Episode 6 in defiance of Velen Cinta's orders, and he gives spiders to Syril in Episode 4. 20 or so roles in French TV and cinema. The bodega vendor was Howard Ward. His most recent role before Andor? Casualty on BBC TV. You know how I like to mention them and the Doctors. He played Sergeant Willis on 11 episodes of Downton Abbey, and he was also on Doctors, Midsummer Murders, EastEnders, Father Brown, and Call a Midwife, and he's voiced video game characters. IOC guard number 1, Robin Berry, one of the guys checking Syril into the office complex, I think. Casualty and Doctors on the BBC as well. And also Law and Order UK. EastEnders, a role in the 2010 Clash of the Titans. He was a palace guard in the recent Wicked movie. And get this, Tinky Winky in at least 10 episodes of Teletubbies Ready, Steady, Go.
Tinky Winky said hello to Dipsy.
IOC guard number 2, Alan Medzadeh. Dune Part 2 as the Weapon Master, voices in Diablo 4, and EastEnders, 40 episodes of a show called Grange Hill in the late 90s. Senator Dazi Oran was Raphael Roger Levy. I think this is the guy that represents Ghorman that Mothma can't get to vote her side. Nothing stood out to me on his resume. Senator number 2 was Madhav Sharma. He was on Conclave, 69 episodes of EastEnders as Arshad Ahmed, and a few different roles on Doctors and Casualty. And I also spotted a 1973 appearance on Doctor Who, but this guy's got roles listed back as far as 1964 on IMDb. Senator number 3 was Derek Arnold. Okay, this guy. He's primarily a puppeteer and has credits on Andor Season 1, Episode 3 as such, and Rise of Skywalker, Solo, and The Last Jedi as well. Puppeteer for those. And then Fantastic Beasts, Jurassic World Dominion. And then as an actor, he's got some other roles. He is credited as Ki-Adi-Mundi in The Acolyte, an upper management troll in the Willow series, Argus Panox in Solo, Pow in Rogue One, 3 roles in The Force Awakens, and now this unnamed senator. Senator number 4 was Nick Kellington. Like Arnold that we just mentioned, he was in Rogue One as a Biston, Claude in Rise of Skywalker, and a senator here. He was also Dipsy for 120 episodes of Teletubbies.
Dipsy! Ooh. Uh-oh, Tinky Winky.
Sunif Brikanti was played by Philippe Spall. His first role was in Shaun of the Dead back in 2004. He's been in Mr. Bean's Holiday, Rush, Allied, Red Dwarf, the 2017 Wonder Woman movie, Downton Abbey, The Witcher, and The Crown, and he had a role on the BBC TV show Doctors. David Bertrand was credited as Elector. He was in Fantastic Beasts, Secrets of Dumbledore as Victor the French Minister, a French captain in the Russell Crowe version of Robin Hood, and a French newscaster in the Da Vinci Code. Drina was Ella Pellegrini. She looks like she's got some recent French TV work. Tazi was Ewens Abid. The only thing I recognized was a role on Emily in Paris. Capso was Alex Scarbeck, a role in Kraven the Hunter, 1 episode of Casualty on the BBC, an episode of the recently released series The Agency, an episode of FBI International, the Downton Abbey movie as Roussel, and some French TV. Old Woman was Mauricia Frank. She had some roles in the late 50s and 60s, and then nothing until some Midsummer Murders episodes about 40 to 50 years later, and now Star Wars. Nervous Woman was Chiraz Aish. She played the French president in Secret Invasion. That was a Marvel show. Two Tubes, both of them, Edrio and Benthic, played by Aidan Cook. Rogue One, obviously, Andor now, too, and also Solo. A couple of different roles in The Force Awakens. Bulio in Rise of Skywalker, Doctor Who, Hellboy 2, and a troll on the Willow series. Finally, Pluty was Mark Rissman. This guy was Joseph in 1883. So he is the guy going west that ends up losing his leg and almost everything else along the way. I don't want to spoil his fate for you, though. Harry Strickland in Game of Thrones of Season 8. He played Takil in The Last Kingdom. The Man in the High Castle, he was Will Gertzman. And this guy looks like he started out in German TV and film, and now he's on Star Wars. Next up will be the recap and discussion. But first, let's deal with these stormtroopers.
He can go about his business.
You can go about your business.
Move along.
Move along. Move along.
There is a previously on segment that lasts for about 2.5 minutes before the Lucasfilm Limited and Star Wars sequences. Then we get the unique Andor theme that plays for the episode, And as it did in the first episode of the season, the screen shows us blue letters saying 1 year later, and that's not the title of this episode. And then we hear a Ferrix anvil ring out. The screen then tells us it is BBY3. We start on Coruscant, though, and we're not told that right off the bat. Bix is having another nightmare, and this time about a soldier that Cassian killed on the last mission. But this soldier isn't alone. Just like one of those previous times that we saw Bix having a nightmare, it looks as though Dr. Gorst is approaching, or he's in the apartment with her. We're 2 years removed from her bout with the doctor on Ferrix. But now, she's not just imagining him approaching, she's pulling a gun on her imagination. Cassian is aware of her troubles, and, it probably has gotten hard since losing Brasso, but it's been a while. They still don't have a real home. They're stuck in a safe house, and it's drab, dreary, and boring. And the problem for me, this scene is long enough to also be boring. Now, I'm not bashing the show. Most people I know, though, and I try to tell them, hey, you gotta watch Andor, they're bored with this show. I just can't make it through the first season. I couldn't make it through the first few episodes. It's just too boring.
We didn't know what we were missing.
This may set the scene for us. It may give us crucial information about what's happened since the time jump. And I do think, for the most part, it's well written. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, though. These shows have to appeal to more than just me.
You sure you don't want to talk about it?
Not really, Cassian. I don't. From there, we head to Ghorman. Syril is stationed there now, and we see him being watched in his apartment, or at least he suspects he is. He is. We see him walking to work, and then we pick up this conversation that he's having when he gets to work with his mom, but we're hearing it on the way. He seems to be putting on some sort of an act. Well, he is. It's pretty obvious that a year isn't going to dim his fervor for the Empire's rule and order. We may not understand the entire picture yet, but neither do the Ghorman Front listeners who have bugged his office.
You might as well be in the Outer Rim.
I'm seeing you clearly.
How nice for you.
Once again, I do think this part is well done. I mean, we're getting the information, showing us a little of the life on Ghorman in reality, while we're hearing Edie talk about the perception off-world.
I have met some Ghormans in my time. Uncle Harlow used to wear nothing but Ghorman twill. Who wouldn't if you could afford it? But the attitude, the arrogance.
The smear campaigns by the Ministry of Enlightenment are working. It's gone further than just painting a poor picture of the Ghormans as the spiders they tend.
Those holodrops, this mockery of Emperor Palpatine, you must have seen them. How could you not? Scandalous.
It's propaganda. Mother, you're being sold these ideas.
My poor boy. Your gullibility is breathtaking.
Does the Ghorman Front not realize that none of their own are doing this? Or are they really? The naivete comes across in the scenes with the Underground because it might be because we know it's coming. And maybe the Ministry of Enlightenment has agitated them enough to smear Palpatine and things like that. But it's hard for me to say because I already know what's coming. We saw the meeting Krennic held. I mean, we if we didn't see that, maybe we would think that maybe Syril had a change of heart. But we know. The Front, led by the older Caro Rylans, debates Cyril's usefulness in a pseudo-French language that is created entirely for the show.
Gore, the language we speak, is an invented language. They based it on an existing language, which is French, the French phonetics. And then they ended up creating word by word a whole vocabulary. You actually really now have a language that could stand its comparison with Esperanto, for example. We have fun now also between us. Every once in a while, we talk Gore between each other.
Now, if you don't know, Esperanto was designed in the late 1800s as a universal language, but any language could be universal if it was widely accepted, and I think American English kind of has done that. It was clear very early that the Ghorman Front is coded after the French Resistance, and then we get that confirmation in that declassified episode. It's French Resistance, Bavarian culture, and Northern Italian architecture and fashion.
Look at us.
I can't sleep, you can't shop. The mission is dinner. I think we can handle it.
We rejoin Cassian and Bix in another slice-of-life moment on Coruscant where they're going shopping. We see a Coruscant corner store, a well-stocked bodega, and one of the things we see are Peezos. That's what he picks up, that little container. They come in a small container like Mentos or Tic Tacs or something. There's tons of stuff on the shelves. And listen, I think I mentioned this week my family has had a lot to go through, so you'll forgive me if I let other people work on these translations of all this stuff that's in the store. It might also be different if I didn't have serious issues about some of the decisions made in this arc, but I'm going to let this pass.
What do you want? You're right. You're not a tourist. Perhaps you wish to know more about where you live. There's a candy inside, with information on the wrapper.
About what?
There's a meeting. You should come. You have the address.
Back on Ghorman, as Syril leaves the field office, he's accosted by one of the Ghormans that have been listening, and he's disguised as a spider model seller for tourists. It's his method of slipping information to Syril, and he's successful. Syril's ruse is paying off.
Luthen cares about results. The deal went through, we won. It had to be done. There's nothing else to say.
Back at the safe house on Coruscant, Bix is cleaning weapons while Cassian cooks. She tries bringing up the soldier they killed again, and I think we need to see what happened. So this is a fault of the writing. Normally I would say we don't need to know everything, but here we're seeing Bix have such a hard time with this soldier. She blew away the one that had nothing to do with her assault on Mina Rao. It just doesn't fit. Why suddenly now a crisis of conscience? We need to see this. Otherwise, and in almost every case, Cassian is right. He's a soldier. Now, did she use this soldier like as a contact and then Cassian decides we got to kill him? Are they trying to say this is one of the good ones? And shows often do this. You're led to believe, oh, he was just following orders and that doesn't make you guilty. Wrong. Cassian is understanding, but this is a weak spot in the writing in this episode. Give us a flashback or tell us plainly what went wrong in that mission so we can judge for ourselves. If the point is that we shouldn't be able to judge, then Bix shouldn't have shot that guy in the first arc. Gilroy had her do that, though. So, sorry, Williman, you need to do something different. We don't stay at the safe house, but we have a scene without dialogue intercut where Syril figures out his apartment has indeed been entered while he was gone. Then we go back to Coruscant. It's raining during dinner, and Cassian and Bix are still talking. They're sharing a meal. She's still sharing the feelings on the soldier, and it really is ridiculous to me.
I'm not Marva. I'm not your sister. I can handle it.
What am I messing up?
You didn't kill that boy because we're at war. You killed him because he saw my face.
I get that she's been through torture, but who does she think she's talking to? And why would you bring up two people that he loves to make that point? In fact, before he even responds, I thought it.
What's the difference?
At least Williman was smart enough to include that. But still, he's the writer. Answering your own questions, that's tacky. And at least like this, when you've created the situation and not really thought about why it doesn't make sense with the characters as they've already been established. Bix didn't shoot Kroll. She shot an Imperial officer, and he may have been holding a blaster. But seeing her face and getting away might as well have been like an Imperial gunner firing on an escape pod, that had no life forms in it. I mean, there's just no way. It doesn't make sense to me. This also isn't the first mission after they escaped Ferrix. She's had plenty of time to understand the score in this spy stuff.
Where are you?
The safe room.
You were careful.
Yes, of course, always. Look, I don't have much time.
Sorry. Tell me.
They made contact.
Syril makes his way back to the office, saying he left files on his desk. It's after hours, so he has to convince the front desk guards to let him back through. And they eventually do, but Syril makes his way instead to a secure room to contact Dedra. This is where, if you hadn't already figured it out, we discover his act for the Ghorman front. Cyril's been careful, probably under the tutelage of Dedra. He has suspected the whole time that he's being watched. He's right. The office is bugged. He's right. He's leaving no trace of his current ties to the ISB. He has set the trap, and the front is walking right into it.
It has to be them. Who else could it be?
The meeting's tomorrow.
Good. Very good. Well, let's wait and see what happens.
Well, I thought you'd want to brief Partagaz.
No.
Well, Dedra Meero has learned her lesson. Catch them first, then make them famous. The ISB is meeting in a familiar conference room on Coruscant. We saw it in Season 1, and Partagaz is trying to impress upon his supervisory panel here. More needs to be done than just arrests. They need real intel. But these supervisors have been confusing number of arrests with the intel.
It's disappointing on many levels. I see a variety of causes.
Pick one!
We're arresting too many people.
It's Lonni Young sticking his neck out. This is the guy who's been informing for Luthen. It doesn't get him in trouble, or at least we don't see it yet. His point is well supported. Make too many arrests, and the arrests won't yield actionable intelligence.
Colonel Yularen and myself have a meeting scheduled with the Emperor to discuss amplifying our intake process. Well played, Lonni. Thank you for reminding us all how this room is meant to function. Let's get to work.
Young gets thanked by his colleagues for being brave. None of them wanted to risk their careers or lives. It's a cutthroat job, and one we know doesn't pay off brazenness, because we've not seen Supervisor Blevin again, have we? That was the guy going up against Meero in Season 1. Hirt is the new head of Axis Desk, but he's not liaisoning with Meero at all. She promises, "I'm just interested in seeing justice."
Andor must be found. You can have all the glory.
Has it ever crossed your mind that Partagaz put me on Axis because I don't seek glory?
This kind of spy intrigue is interesting to me, but again, too many friends of mine find this stuff boring. We go right from there to something else that can be boring. The politicking with Mothma trying to rally votes for a bill to kill the Public Order Resentencing Directive, PORD. It was meant to squash rebellion after Aldhani, but it made things worse. And that's exactly the kind of thing Luthen wanted to happen. He wanted the Empire to tighten its grasp. The more the Emperor does that, the more star systems will slip through his fingers, right?
All doubts aside, there is one glaring certainty. If we do not stand together, we will be crushed.
I know how hard you're working this month.
I am close on the votes.
That's not what I hear.
Mothma's issue is becoming apparent. She's not even getting support from the people it stands to crush. Ghorman's senator won't even support it.
Does he?
No. I am constantly begging my people to stay calm and do nothing that might make things worse. Voting against the Emperor right now would be a total violation of that request.
If he only knew. And there's that saying, all it takes for evil to triumph is for good to do nothing.
Ghorman cannot take the risk. I'm sorry, Mom.
Lonni goes to visit Luthen in the depths of Coruscant by elevator. It's been months since their last contact. Lonni finally has something, though. Dedra is the one running Ghorman activities. Why? Well, we know, but neither of them do. Lonni just heard it from Hirt after the meeting.
Are you sure of this?
As of today.
And Meero self-access for good?
Not by choice, but yes.
I can't wait another 3 months, Lonni. There's too much going on.
You used to tell me to wait.
Those days are gone.
Syril makes his way on Ghorman to that not-so-secret meeting, and that world-building declassified episode now available has some cool information about all that went through into the language and the culture coming alive. You know, for instance, they don't clap, they slap their breast. They don't flip the bird, they hold that arm and then keep it from leaving their chest as protection, and then removing that protection, that's how they say hello and goodbye, you know, kind of like waving. Syril is doing all the right things at the meeting, and afterward, when he meets the leader, Elector Carol Rylance, if anyone had doubts on him, all this performative acting seems to melt that doubt away.
You have to go alone.
I have to think about that.
Think about this. Think about the Empire choking Ghorman so hard that even Carol Rylance gets off his comfortable ass to do something about it.
On Coruscant again, Luthen put out the bat signal and Cassian answered and finds out, hey, there's this mission. You ever been to Ghorman? He needed to check out a budding resistance and he can't go. So the fact that Luthen is asking Cassian to go alone is troublesome for him, but he's going to do it anyways.
Reach out to Clea. I want this done quickly.
Good, we get to hear about Clea. We're going to have Clea in the next episode. From Coruscant, we travel to Dakar, and if you don't recognize this place when you see it, this is where the resistance against the First Order is based in The Force Awakens and the beginning of The Last Jedi. At this point in time, it's a temporary base for Saw Gerrera. We see Edrio and Benthic Two-Tubes as an X-Wing comes in. Willman is waiting for Saw. He's got a machine or a tool that Saw wants, and it's not just the tool. Saw also wants the knowledge on how to use it.
Look at you. Look at all your loveliness. How I've dreamt of this.
Saw talking here as it's a she. It becomes clear later that his mind is off and he's conflating something about this thing with his sister. And as I mentioned earlier in this podcast, his sister Steela died on a mission during the Clone Wars on Onderon, and Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, and Anakin were all there.
This has been quite a journey for our Padawan. Steela will be a powerful spirit in their lives. Yes. For all of us.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Thanks. But it's over now. Let's just leave it at that. Steela would be glad. Her sacrifice gave Onderon its freedom.
But at what cost?
Saw wants this device that Willman has to steal fuel. He wants to know who taught Willman how to use it. It was probably his father, who was killed last season by the Empire on Ferrix. Will wants to know, why does Saw want to know?
Why? What's more dangerous than Rhydonium? Not many old pipe poachers out there, not many who've lived to tell the tale.
Saw goes on to describe the horrors of exposure to Rhydonium, and it's awful. I mean, this is what's eating Saw's mind and killing his lungs. Will can use this device to siphon fuel from a secure fuel line.
Willman, the boy! Have you ever done this for real? Or just in a classroom?
I've done it. Never alone, but I've done it. Twice.
And you're still alive.
First, Willman is going to have to teach Pluty how to do it, but we find out there are a lot of variations on how to use this thing. Telling which one he needs to know would end up revealing where they're going to be stealing the fuel from, so Saw won't have it. He's reneging on the deal he made, probably with Luthen. Will's going to have to stay. What might happen when he finishes teaching Pluty? Well, we know. Will probably knows. He's probably not cut out for this work on his own. His specialty is the only thing keeping him alive here. I have the feeling that people who make deals with Saw just end up dead. I mean, no matter what the deal. Or maybe they are forced to join him or die.
You're here till I get what I need.
Back on Coruscant, Cassian and Bix are sharing a romantic last moment together before he heads off on a solo mission. There's no dialogue, just a lot of sad music. It builds to crescendo as we see her take some sort of drug, and Cassian heads off-world. She's in trouble now. There's not much he can do away from home, and is this drug gonna get her killed as a liability? My question here is, why didn't the scriptwriter just use what was already set up, sleep deprivation? Why do we have to see drug use this way in Star Wars? I don't know how you feel about it, but I think the drug use was totally unnecessary and a failure of the writing here. It was already set up. Sleep deprivation and torture. You had it. And it's an unforced error. Now, this episode recap and discussion is not as complete as some that I've done in the past, but two things, both of which I mentioned in the 3 BBY First Impressions podcast, already available on the This Is The Way podcast channel. I did not care for this block that much. The writing is better than some other shows, but that's a low bar. It could have been a lot better. Too many unforced errors. Chief among them in this episode was the drug use. Just pointless. It's different from the assault on Bix, which you can explain. The drug use just makes no sense. Second, there's too much going on in my personal life right now to give this more time than I'm sparing already. So 2 more episodes in the first block to go. I'm pretty sure you've already seen them, so I'm not going to take too much more time here. The next episode of Andor's second season is already available. The description: Cassian on Ghorman, Syril on Coruscant, Bix failing, Wilman trapped, Clea has a serious problem. So we look forward to that episode. You can send feedback or comments. I will continue to cover the available episodes 5 and 6 of Season 2 this week, and Episode 7 kicks off a new arc next week. In the meantime, join in the discussion with me by sending in your thoughts via email to thisisthewaypodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for joining me for the 4th episode, Season 2 of Andor recap and discussion. The episode was called Ever Been to Ghorman? Please subscribe to This Is The Way podcast if you haven't already, and please tell people about it. I'm your host, Steve Loscalzo, and this is The Way. May the Force be with you, always.